Hello, viewer, and thank you very much for joining us on the People Show today. Today's show is very special. Special in two ways. One, because today we celebrate the life of a man who gave up everything for the environment, to the whole world, to places that he's never been to. Why? Because he believed in protecting what today scientists call the air conditioning of the world. I'm talking about one man who was supposed to be seated here with us today for this interview. But unfortunately, he was on board the Ethiopian airline that crashed and killed more than 100 people just a few minutes after taking off at the Addis Ababa airport. Let's take a look at this video as we pay tribute to this man. Well, viewer, indeed, this is a man, as you saw from the video, who was really committed and was looking forward to attend this meeting that is ongoing right now at the United Nations headquarters in Nairobi. That's the forum that is going on right now is the United Nations Environmental Assembly, the fourth United Nations Environmental Assembly. Representing him today from the same organization is Mr.
Omesa
Sam
Mekaya.
Omesa Mekaya. You told me that you prefer using your African name.
Yeah.
Welcome to the studio, and maybe tell us or tell our viewers just who is Omesa Mekaya.
Okay, thank you so much, Timothy, for having me on the show. I'm really happy to be here. I'm honored to be here, standing in for the shoes of Mr. Darcy Belangi. As you have said, Sam is a man dedicated towards protecting the Arctic Ocean and the Earth in general. So personally, I'm a young man who's been, who has undergone various changes as I've been growing up. So I come from Nyamira County. So
That's where you grew up, or you grew up in Nairobi but you come from there?
No. I actually came to Nairobi and I joined university. So all life I grew up in Nyamira County. So seeing a few things and changes here that have been happening in my life since I was in primary school, secondary school, and then later I got the opportunity to join university. I'm the first one in my family to join university.
All right.
So my parents, we were thinking like I was going to be, get into a career that I was going to get a job very fast. So nobody in my village, actually not even in my family, had heard something about environment.
All right.
They didn't even think that an environment can amount to a career.
Let me cut in and ask you. As you grew up, what kind of a child or what kind of a vision did you have as a child? Because many people, when I speak to them, some of the careers that they run today, some of them had passion for this since their childhood. Maybe you can just share a little bit about your childhood, how you grew up. Was it something that you had from your childhood, or is the environmental conservation something that just came up in the course of your growing up?
Sometimes you grow up, you don't know that you're good in something, and until something else happens to remind you that you're actually good in something.
Sure.
So most of us grew up with big dreams, to become doctors, engineers. Those big dreams that every young boy or girl has. Personally, I grew up thinking I was going to be a doctor. I was even nicknamed Dr. Omesa.
At your young age?
Yeah, at my young age, even in high school, people used to call me Dr. Omesa, Dr. Sam.
Why, is there something in particular that you did that made them think, that made them call you doctor? Is there anything that...
Yeah. I drew my motivation. I used to read a lot about Dr. Ben Carson.
All right.
His books, Think Big, Gifted Hands. I drew that motivation from there. How he grew up in his young age. He didn't have that capability. He didn't even believe in himself.
All right.
So personally, I grew up. I thought I want to be like this man when I grow up. So I thought I am going to be a doctor, just like Ben Carson, and save lives.
Yes.
So but as I proceeded by, I realized there's something else which is an even much bigger cause. Not only saving lives but also saving the planet. You know, environmental conservation is all about saving the earth, saving the planet. Sometimes we do things that we are not even sure if we'll see the changes or they will benefit from the results. You know, so for us, for the environmental conservationists like myself, it's about that you know, strong conviction in living a better world for our children and the future generations, even long after I'm gone. So we believe in that, you know, the sustainability, you know, the future generations, they find a better planet than we found, than our parents left for us. So that's where I've drawn my motivation, you know, carrying out a few activities here and there. I've been doing a lot of stuff in the areas of environmental conservation, and you know, linking areas of environmental degradation and how it affects you know, livelihoods, human survival and existence with the ecosystem, you know, the plants, the animals. You know, in an ecosystem, everything is kind of like a system. You know, things are interrelated. You know, we coexist in that system. So I've tried to see, you know, find a solution how various ills that we face in society. For example, we have seen various issues like, you know, drought and desertification, climate, the changing climate, rising temperatures. These are some things that are, even though I'm not very old, in my youth age, I never saw some of the changes that I'm seeing today. So for example, in Nyamira County, where I come from, there used to be marsh bogs and swamps where we used to go, you know, you step and it you know, kind of,
it's like kind of floating or something.
Yeah, those things, you will no longer see them in my community where
completely
I come from. Completely gone, and it's all because of human activity.
I've been to the area. I mean, the area of Nyamira and Kisii. My grandmother actually resides in Oyugis.
Oh, nice.
And so I pass through Nyamira as I go, if I'm not wrong. And it's an environment that is green, always green.
Yeah, it's evergreen.
But then looking at what we are facing right now, we have these extreme weathers, which I want us to talk about later on, at a later stage. But I'm really interested in how you began. I would like to hear about how you began, how you came now to, you know, join the environmental movement or something like that. From high school, I mean, did you start in high school or primary school? Where did you start?
Like I mentioned earlier, there are these things that I used to observe as a person. You know, we used to go, you know, can I say, you know, watching birds in the forest, you know, those natural forests that we had in Nyamira County City.
The hilly land, always green.
Most of those birds we can no longer see them. So there's this thing that I had, you know, I didn't even know it was going to amount to a career later on. You know, I loved planting trees. Not because I knew they are good for the environment, but
just for the fun of it.
For the fun of it. But later on, you know, I came to realize, you know, these things sometimes I used to do them without a reason, but now I came to learn how important they are to the environment. So after high school, so everybody, like I mentioned before, my parents thought, you know, I was being the first one to join university. You know, you get that career, like they are encouraging me to do education, English literature. I was so good in English, so they thought, you know, once I'm done with university, I get a job very fast,
and then you can help out.
Help out, you know. But then personally, deep down, I didn't have a passion, you know, for teaching. So we used to go down to Kisumu. By then, you know, there was no this issue of, you know, filling courses online. So I went to Kisumu. Everybody, even my uncles, they were telling me, you know, you go do filling, choose education. And then I had a lot of time to think about it. You know, I was trying to look at the coursework and that list with courses. I realized that the environmental science course, and I tried to, you know, flashback, you know, in my past, the way I've grown, what I've been doing, you know, how the changes that I've been observing, and I said, this is what I want. I decided myself, this is what I want.
On that day when you went to fill
I had a lot of time to think about it. Even when I was traveling to Kisumu, everybody knew I was going to choose education. But deep down, I had taken a lot of time to think about it, and I'd made my mind. I tried to tell them, but they told me, just go put education, first choice, second choice, third choice.
So you spoke to your parents, your
Yeah,
uncle,
my
or
parents,
who
my
did you tell about
uncles. Yeah.
considering to do environment?
Yeah, so I spoke to one of my uncles. He works in the agriculture sector. Yeah, so he encouraged me. So he was for the idea, but he also
Was a bit skeptic.
skeptic. You have never seen someone employed in the environment sector. In the grassroots, everybody
They
tries
know
to look
education
at
is about
education. You get employment and help people. Yeah, but for me, I had that feeling that I need to stand for a bigger cause. I took environmental science. I filled out environmental science in 3 universities: University of Nairobi, Jomo Kenyatta, and Kenyatta University. I didn't give out that window of doubts. I put education, so you gamble with it, and education calls you. So I just put environment from number 1 to the last, because I was very sure that's what I want to do.
As a first choice?
Yeah, as my first choice. So I got the opportunity to go to Kenyatta University. I studied environmental science. I even had time, there was that period where if you are not sure, you can change to another course. So I had that period to decide whether it's something I want to continue. Yeah, I found some really amazing people, young people like myself, who are really passionate about it. Our lecturers were so amazing, encouraging us, giving the history about environmentalism, how it started, the changes that have been observed over time. I said, I'm bored. This is what I want to do.
So you felt settled on that?
I felt settled. There's no changing. There's no doing inter-school transfer, inter-course transfer. I'm doing environmental science, study about environmental issues and save humanity. Earlier on I wanted to be a doctor to save lives. But now I'm becoming an environmentalist to save the planet. If the planet is saved,
both humans
people are
and
saved,
plants,
plants, all the biodiversity is saved. Yeah, so that has been my journey over the years. Yeah, and even after university, I've continued to do a lot of stuff, community sensitization, volunteering with various environmental organizations. Yeah, working with the grassroots, empowering youth to do environmental conservation, because again, like I said, it's about the future. Sometimes you plant a tree, you're not even sure whether you're going to benefit from that tree. Like the tree that we are looking at, someone who planted it. Perhaps he never had to benefit anything from it, but we are here benefiting. We are seated under a tree.
The birds actually got the...
Yeah, it's because someone took that first step to do something that is right. And for the cause that he believed it was going to be saving the future generations. Even if he was not there to enjoy the benefits, that's now the Omesa Mukaya that we are looking at. It's not about what I gain at the moment, but what the future generation, my children and my grandchildren, if I be lucky enough to see them, they find a better planet.
That's very interesting. I mean, that's a big vision for a young person such as you. Omesa, I would like us to talk now about what you do currently, which of course now brings us which now brings what Darcy was supposed to come and also speak to us in length, which I believe you are also in a better position to speak to us about, because you, I believe, are also an ambassador of the MAPS here in Kenya.
Yeah, I'm actually the coordinator for the African team or the African country.
Right. Because in the video I had Darcy mention Uganda.
Yeah, there's Uganda, there's Benin, there's Cameroon, Nigeria, Kenya, there's South Africa, and other countries are joining, like Sierra Leone, Liberia. The movement is now...
So they are on signing into the MAPS declaration.
Yeah, we are getting the MAPS ambassadors. Who can stand for the cause and encourage people at the grassroots level, try to communicate the message to their governments, why MAPS is important. MAPS, like I mentioned earlier, is the Marine Arctic Peace Sanctuary, which is basically targeted to establish the largest marine protected ecosystem in history. So that's what we are focusing at the moment.
Now, I want you to hold that thought. We're going to take a short break, viewer. If you're just joining us, today we have with us Mr. Omesa Mukaya. He's really given us a lot in those first few minutes that we've had a discussion with him. And we're talking about the environment today. And when we come back in the next half, we are going to talk more about what the United Nations Environmental Assembly is discussing in Nairobi this week. And also we are going to talk a little bit more about what MAPS is doing in the whole world. What is the effect of its work here in Kenya? If you have any comments, suggestions, or opinion, you can send that to our SMS line. That's 21144. 21144 is the number, or you can drop us an email on info@gbskenya.com. Let's now take a short break. We'll be right back. Welcome back, viewer. If you are just joining us, you're watching The People Show. Today we have with us Mr. Omesa Mukhaya, who is talking to us about environmental issues. But most importantly, right before the break, he was just explaining to us about the MAPS project. And right before the break, you were telling us about this project. Who is running this project and why?
Yeah, so the MAPS project, MAPS campaign, like I mentioned,
Yes.
Which is the Marine Arctic Peace Sanctuary. It's a campaign run by Poverty.org. It is a Canadian-based non-profit organization that has realized that there's that need for us to protect the Arctic. The MAPS campaign is all about protecting the Arctic Ocean. So we, people have been asking questions like, for example, us here in Kenya, why should you care so much about?
What do we have to do with the Arctic?
Yeah, the Arctic is far away, and we are here in Africa, in Kenya specifically. So why does it matter?
Sure.
Yeah. So there's the issue of melting of the polar ice, the Arctic ice. Which serves as the planet's, we call it the air conditioning system, because it keeps temperatures at habitable levels. It maintains, the water levels within the planet, so that it's habitable for every living things on Earth. But with the issues like climate change that are happening recently, they have been happening over time. People have been talking a lot about climate change. So the Arctic ice is melting at unprecedented high levels. So scientists are actually saying that at the moment there's 75% less Arctic ice than there was just 50 years ago. That's catastrophic. Sure. It's very alarming.
That's alarming.
Yeah, because of the benefits and the importance that we draw from the Arctic Ocean and the Arctic ice. Yeah, so what the Arctic ice does, through the albedo effect, there is something in science we call the albedo effect, where it reflects the sun rays, the harmful UV rays, to space, so that to keep the Earth, in good conditions for survival. Yeah, so with issues that are affecting, like I've said before, with the melting of the glaciers, there's now other impacts that are building up from that. The sea level rise, the sea level rise has a lot of, harm that can cause to environment. Yeah, like studies that have been done before, we call them climate scenarios. They are trying to foresee the future. Yeah, the island of Mombasa, for example, could be submerged in water by 2050 if we continue at the rate at which we are doing things at the moment. Yeah, so for Poverty.org, we have realized that there is an urgent need to ensure that doesn't happen. And MAPS is the solution. It's a simple solution and a very realizable and achievable solution to a very complex issue of climate change. Climate change has a lot of impacts, such as prolonged drought and desertification. You observe in last year there was issues of water shortage in the country. Just recently in the previous months here, January, February, and in Kenya, it has been really so hot, and all that is building up from what's happening in the Arctic. Yeah, because what happens in the Arctic, you are seeing the interconnection between what happens in the Arctic and the impact it has, on the local communities, on our countries. For example, in Africa, Kenya, ourselves here, we are the people who are facing these impacts the more. and the people and sometimes people argue that we have contributed actually the least to the causes of climate change, which is very true.
Following up on a recent meeting that took place, an environment meeting that took place, I think somewhere in Europe.
In Katowice, Poland.
Yes.
Yeah, last year. Yeah.
And then it came out very clearly that Africa contributes the least.
Yeah. But we are facing the most, the impacts are more severe here in Africa. The reason being, you know, most of the countries in Africa, developing countries, we don't have that capacity, you know, to adapt to the impacts of climate change. Yeah, and for the developed countries, you know, they have the capacity, you know, the muscle, the financial ability to adapt to the impacts of climate change. Yeah, so that's why we are standing, for example, here in Kenya. Yeah, we are answering the people now who are asking the questions why we should care. Because what's happening there, we are the people feeling it the most here on the ground. Yeah, so there's that urgent need for us to act collaboratively. Yeah, so again, we are bringing in, you know, the issue of collaboration. Yeah, we are not working in isolation. You know, PAFAT, for example, is not working in isolation. For the MAPS campaign, for example, we have been working with you know, volunteers from across Africa. Some like it was mentioned in the video earlier with Darcy Belanje. We have volunteers. For example, we have a lot of, you know, we call them MAPS ambassadors here in Kenya. We have some from Uganda, Benin, Nigeria, Sierra Leone. They are all joining the movement.
What are some of the activities that you engage them in? Do you hold seminars? Do you go out for field works? What are some of the activities that you do? And maybe you can just tell us about any recent activity that you guys carried out.
Oh, that's nice. So actually, if I can start from the last question, like recently, I think it was on 2nd of March. We held a coordinated activity across Africa for the countries that are supporting MAPS at the moment. We were celebrating MAPS ideally, basically to say. The idea was, you know, to sensitize the communities, to sensitize the youth, to really understand what MAPS is and why it's important. So we did those activities in those countries that I've mentioned. And it was documented. These are some of the things that you can find on our website, you know, on our social media channels. We have also been engaged, like the team here in Kenya, the team that I've been working with, the amazing MAPS ambassadors here in Kenya. So we have done a lot of, you know, community sensitization. You know, we want the grassroots to understand. So we have gone to various universities to sensitize them on what MAPS is and why it is important. We have gone to Kenyatta University. We have gone to give a MAPS presentation at the University of Nairobi and Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology. Those are some of the activities that we have done. And also we did 2 coordinated Twitter chats. You know, you realize, you know, social media nowadays is becoming a very important campaigning tool. So we did a Twitter chat, a live Twitter chat, coordinated across the world. So we had, you know, participants from all over the world, you know, chiming in to give their contribution about what they think about MAPS, why it's important and why should everyone come on board. It was very successful. We got a very large, you know, following and contributions from everyone. So we still continue, and at the moment, like Darcy was flying in to do, we are, you know, and also trying to, you know, get our governments to sign the MAPS treaty.
That's actually the question that I wanted to push on to. Have you been able to get the Kenyan government to look at your document?
You know, the MAPS treaty was, you know, submitted to all the 193 member states that are signatories to the UN, Kenya being one of them. So at the moment, what we are trying to do is, you know, apart from the, you know, sensitization exercises, the ultimate goal is to know, you know, send that message to the government that, you know, we at the grassroots have understood why this MAPS is important to us. Why it should be important also to the government, and why the government, you know, actually support it. So we actually at the moment lobbying with various governments, not only here in Kenya. We are lobbying with the various governments. You know, as you are aware, currently there's the 4th session of the United Nations Environment Assembly that is ongoing. There are representatives from, you know, various governments across Africa and across the world. Yeah, Kenya being one of them, actually the host. So we are urging all the governments.
Mentioning about the UNEA, or the United Nations Environmental Assembly that is taking place in Nairobi as we speak right now. Darcy was supposed to be in that meeting, engaging with his stakeholders. In Kenya, you guys are now, is there someone who is representing Darcy in that event as we speak today?
Yeah, so you realize the way we were, running our campaign, everybody was, in the loop of what was happening. We used to hold these virtual meetings, we discussed this is the way to approach the campaign, we are going to do these activities. It inspired us actually, the activities that I've mentioned we have been doing is the person who has been, behind the coordination of everything. So even in his absence, we are standing in to say, even if he's gone, he stood for something. His life never went in vain. And we are stepping in. Personally, I said I'm the, coordinating the African lead. Yeah, so being aware of what was happening. Yeah, so we actually, trying to step in and do what he was supposed to do, and his life to make sure that his life never went in vain. And we also, he put a lot of effort, in it, a lot of resources, a lot of dedication. Yeah, and we are also saying that we are going to continue with his legacy. We are going to achieve his mission of getting the maps. We are targeting 99 signatures by December 31st. That was his dream. He was pushing really for that. So
99 signatures, that's member states
to sign the maps treaty. We have 193 major signatories to the UN member states. Yeah, so once we have 99, that represents the upper, like the majority. And like I've mentioned, the maps treaty, it's like an addendum. It's like an addition to the UN laws of the sea. Which is basically meant to protect the Arctic Ocean and the largest marine protected area north of the Arctic Circle. So for that to happen, we have to get all the governments sign that. So the MAPS ambassadors on the ground are doing a lot about that. We also have a MAPS petition that we are sharing with the public. We need the public, the masses behind the support. So aside from working with the government and also asking the governments to sign the treaty, we also have that petition that the MAPS ambassadors have been helping us do, getting the public to sign.
Environmental issues are very pertinent, especially in this time that we live in. But not many people have been educated about the environment. When you go down to the grassroots to talk to people, how is the response in terms of how do people respond to this information that you give them concerning the environment and why it is important to protect the environment? And secondly, maybe there's another question that I may throw at you is, are they really understanding what you guys are talking about?
That's a nice question.
I saw a president of a very big nation, I won't mention names, but saying that this environmental protection and climate change stuff is a big hoax. It's not a hoax.
So we are the people running with the MAPS campaign doing, and with the support of the people from poverty.org. Is basically trying to get everyone understand, like I mentioned with the petition. We have been giving presentations here and there. We have talked to people, various people. So, the response you get, the responses are actually, not very similar, in different regions. But with what is happening nowadays, you can't compare it with, a few years ago. Nowadays, people are seeing things. We had climate deniers in the past because they think that's just something that you're coming with to further your agenda. But nowadays, people are feeling. You go down to the grassroots to talk to people. People say they actually seeing the like issues like rise in temperatures. That one, even if it's, I don't know who, they feel the rise in temperatures.
I was speaking, interestingly enough, I was speaking to my old grandmother who is 80-something the other day. And I was, grandma was like, we used to expect rain at this time, but then what is happening? Rain is not coming. So I try to explain climate change, but I'm not an expert, so
Yeah.
my explanation was very shallow. But then she goes like, so I don't know if she really understood, but I think the visible world today tell us that something is changing.
Yeah. Something, you know, it begins with simple observation about what used to be there and what is here, and why. And you try to ask yourselves the questions that what have people done differently. Yeah, you have mentioned the case of the grandmother. She can tell you that there are things that we used to do in the past that we are not doing at the moment that have contributed to actually what's happening at the moment. Now, with these issues of climate change, for example, you have seen, you have mentioned things to do with, you know, climate variability. There's no rain where it used to be, and all that, you know, it builds up, it takes us back to the Arctic.
Extreme floods on one side, extreme drought in
another part of, yeah. And there's also another aspect of, you know, emerging diseases and pests, which are affecting, you know, crop productivity, which builds again, you know, issues to deal with food security. Yeah, you know, that's why we are saying MAPS is a very simple solution to very complex, you know, climate change builds up to other, you know, bigger problems that face society today. Yeah, so what we're trying to do is to not only save, you know, the environment or the Arctic, but to save humanity from, you know, future catastrophic impacts that could happen. Yeah, so by ensuring that we have this largest protected area, things like, you know, we are saying drought and desertification, you know, water shortage, rising temperatures, things like those, we could, you know, regulate them. I mentioned earlier, like the ice helps in maintaining the temperatures, but when we leave it melt at the rates that we have seen it's melting, you know, we could even see, like I said, the Mombasa Island could sink. There are those we call island nations, you know, those nations that are surrounded by water. So with sea level rise, those nations could be submerged in water. Yeah, so we could lose land, productive land for, you know, conducting, you know, agriculture and feeding the people. Diseases, you know, in the Arctic, there's something we call permafrost. Permafrost keeps, you know, methane gas and other viral pathogens like, you know, anthrax. We have smallpox, which are kept within the ground. So if these issues continue to escalate, those things could be now released and come to.
You can see a global outbreak.
We could see a global pandemic. So by ensuring MAPS is actualized, we could actually keep those things where they are, keep the earth habitable, save humanity, save everything from, you know, we are trying to avoid a case where we see a humanitarian or ecological crisis from happening. Yeah, so another way we work at MAPS, we're also supporting, you know, the UN 17 Sustainable Development Goals. If you observe them keenly, you know, from goal number 1 to 10, you know, they are talking of issues to deal with, social issues. MAPS addresses all those social issues. Food production, health, and then we have goal 11 to 15, basically trying to talk about ecological harmony. Climate action, life underwater, life on land, all those things that we are addressing, and also the issue of partnerships, and also finding the nexus between, you know, Canada, Kenya, Benin, wherever the country is. All the, you know, bringing them all together to stand for something bigger, which is to save the planet. The country is coming together in partnership, which is actually goal number 17, about partnerships and collaboration to stand in a common goal, which is goal number 1, which is the first and the ultimate goal, to save the planet. So ideally, that's MAPS in brief, and that's what we are doing as MAPS ambassadors in Kenya. We encourage everyone to join the movement.
Quite interesting, Mr. Muhai. Now, maybe you can just tell us, our viewers, they want to find you guys. What's your website? What's your social media platform?
Actually, I'm asking everyone to go to our website. It's pavati.org. You just type pavati.org.
How
Go
do
to
you
the
spell
web.
that, Pavati?
It's PARVATI.org. Yeah, and then once you log in, you can see all the works that we've been doing. Yeah, you can find all the information, even that the MAPS petition is there. We encourage everyone to come on board to sign the petition. We even have, the partnership, the joint coalition, asking even the NGOs, civil society to join the coalition, standing for MAPS. Yeah, we also have social media pages on Facebook. You can find us on Pavati. Just type Pavati. You can like the page on Instagram and on Twitter. Yeah, we're there as Pavati Official. Yeah, you can find us there doing some really amazing stuff, and also sharing of these experiences on how to save the planet. Yeah, thank you so much,
Mr. Samuel. Now, and good luck. I mean, the UNEA is going on, and you guys have to represent.
Yeah.
You have to speak out. It's a meeting where environment ministers are coming, other stakeholders in environmental issues are also coming there. Heads of governments and all that kind of people will be meeting there. Good luck, and
thank you
again,
so much.
thank you.
Yeah, really appreciate it.
Coming, and I believe that we are doing this for a better cause, like we mentioned at the beginning.
Yeah, sure.
So that lives like Darcy's life do not seem to have gone in vain. To have played a role in furthering this message.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah, so viewer, we have come to the end of our program today. Thank you very much for joining us. If you have any comments, suggestions or opinion, you can send us an SMS on 21144. 21144 is the number. You can also drop us an email on info@gbskenya.com. Until next time, thank you very much for joining us. I've been your host, Timothy Omondi. It's bye-bye for now.